My name is Victoria Tanu. I identify as Vietnamese American, female, and queer. I work right now currently as a financial aid advisor for a private school. So I really enjoy traveling. Traveling has been like the biggest thing. It is expensive, but I really love it. I've been on a few cruises to Mexico, which I really enjoyed. I've been to Scotland, Ireland. I've been to South Korea. It just gives me a different perspective than the world that I am in now. It kind of makes me realize like there's more than us, and it opens my eyes to like the other world. Like, you know, we're so stuck in our own world, we don't see what it's like to be someone else, and that gives us a different perspective about life. I feel like that has made me open-minded. There's so many other stories out there, and you know, to be open to all of them, it just adds to your life. My true passion is to become a social worker, get my MSW, and then pursue opening a private practice to do therapy. Because when I was looking for a therapist, specifically for API, LGBT kind of issues, I really couldn't find anyone. I did see a therapist for a while, but because of their background, it was really hard for me to see that they relate to me and understood where I was coming from. And I want to be that person that people can look for if they need those kind of assistance and need that help. So there's two very important relationships in my life. The first is with my mother. She's been a great influence in my life. I highly respect her. The second very important relationship in my life is actually with my current fiance, Julian. We met in high school. However, when I met him, he was female. He has been really great. However, I couldn't come out to my mom for a very, very long time about it. She just thought we were friends. We actually had a long distance relationship. He went up to Santa Cruz and I stayed up down here and went to Cal Poly Pomona. We would visit each other and I would tell my mother, hey, I'm gonna go visit my best friend in Santa Cruz, or I'll be visiting my cousin, and I would stop by and see him. The coming out process has been very difficult because there's a very large language barrier. There's not that many Vietnamese words that can translate. So coming out to her has been really difficult, and because she's first generation, there's not a lot of education about it. While he was transitioning, I also had to figure out my identity. At the time, I was like, oh, I'm probably lesbian. But once he started transitioning, I'm like, well, is it really because, am I a lesbian now or am I not? Until this day, I still kind of like am not there yet. It's because him being transgender, it has been really an interesting journey because I don't always have to come out to people. People just say, I'm like, oh, this is my fiance, or this is my boyfriend, and they're like, okay. It's also for his own choice whether or not he wants to come out. That's not up to me, but it's also, we are coming to an agreement of that is part of my story too, and that he trusts me to tell the story in an appropriate way to the people who would understand most. But because of our journey, it's been really hard for me to tell my story without making him come out. So after a while, Julie and I started dating in college. He started transitioning, and then my mom noticed that I would bring over this person. Because he was kind of in the middle of transition, she could tell who it was so she would question it. And so I kind of made the mistake of telling her, this is this person from high school. She took it very badly and started asking very personal questions, and at the time, Julie and I never really discussed. We did discuss it, but at the time I was like, this is my mother, I need to tell her kind of thing. So I kind of outed him to her, and she took it very badly. I talked to my mother about the marriage situation and the idea of marriage a few months ago with Julian specifically, and she's like, no, I don't think you should get married. I think you should just be together and not get married. There's no reason for you to get married. And that really hurt me. She would bring up this couple she knew that were like together for 25 years. I'm assuming a cisgender couple. They've been together for 25 years, never got married. However, she's like bringing this couple up, and then I'm like, well, you and dad have been together, like you and dad were together for like 7-8 years, and you know, Julie and I are already at that point where we've been together longer than that time period. And then she's like, don't compare that relationship to your relationship. But in my head I was like, why are you comparing that other person's relationship that I don't even know to my relationship? And so my mom and I actually have been at heads. Like, I've been very upset with her because she would say very mean things. For instance, she said that, you know, those type of people, they are with these people and then they divorce them and they sleep around. And I'm like, Mom, you know, my dad's family is not our family is not the greatest example either. That happens in our family too. She just said that, you know, you're abnormal, you know, because you're with him, you're abnormal, and therefore, you know, I'm sad for you because you're going through this. And I'm like, but I'm so happy. Like, I want to get married to him. That's what I want to do. But for her, she's like, I'm sad that, you know, this is what you're putting yourself through. And like, it hurt me so much that she couldn't be happy for me. She had to be sad about my happiness. So that was really hard. So Julian, as I've mentioned, like, he has been in my life for a very, very long time. He has done his best on his end to get my mom to, like, you know, try to get to know him, but my mom is just so against the idea. It's been really hard. His family has been very great and very supportive of our relationship. It's really my mom who's the only one. Like, everyone else in my family kind of knows about Julian and I, and she's the one who's most against it. There's this ageism. Even though I'm over the age of 18, I'm not considered an adult. I'm still considered a child, and I should listen to my elders. So my mom, whatever I tell her, she doesn't kind of take it. She kind of just like, oh, you're just a child, you don't know what you're talking about. And the person that I really believe would have been able to convince her is my father, who passed away about, I want to say about maybe a year ago. I actually wanted to get married before my father passed away. He was diagnosed with cancer like 3 or 4 years ago with lung cancer, and I was planning to, because Julie and I have talked about marriage for a very long time. I wanted to get married. I wanted my father to be there at my wedding, but I didn't want to rush my wedding just because of him. I wanted to get married because I wanted to, not because my father was my father was sick. My dad and I were very, very close, and, you know, whenever I would get in trouble with my mother, like, my dad would, you know, help me out. My dad knew Julian as a man, while my mother knew him beforehand, and so I feel like that's a little of a difficult part for her, but it's also that she's not open-minded to understanding what's going on, and she's kind of in denial still. She kind of thinks we're just going through a phase, that we're just friends, and she's going through this whole, like, abandonment thing, like, you've abandoned me for this person, you've abandoned me and you're choosing this person over me. And I'm like, that's not the case. I love you both, but Julian's my future and you are, you know, my present and my past, and, you know, that's something that I've been together with him for so long, like, we had to go somewhere. At first, I never wanted to marry. I didn't want to have kids. I was just like, I'm gonna be an old lady with cats. Like, I'm just gonna have my cats. And then Julian came into my life, and then, you know, the idea of marriage actually became an option. He's very traditional, which is really hilarious to me. He wanted to get married, and so I considered it, and then he asked me about a year ago. We've been discussing wedding plans, and it's been really difficult because of my background. Being Asian, we have to basically save face. You have to act a certain way around your family, and I wouldn't feel like myself, especially like my dad's family is great. Like, I love my dad's family, but there's like this whole thing with them, and then my mom's family, they're very like traditional, very strict, and I wouldn't be able to enjoy my own wedding. It happened to my cousin. My cousin got married a few years ago. She actually participated in a wedding that she didn't really want, and I also didn't want to be ended up in like that, but I didn't want my family to be excluded either. So it's been a really hard discussion about how to plan the wedding. I don't want a big thing. I really want something small. I want to invite some of my family that I'm very close to, but I also want my family to recognize my marriage with Julian. Julian and I have talked about like having a separate dinner, but then he's like, you know, that's unfair for my family because you're kind of making your family kind of better than my family, like they're doing something separate, but I'm like, that's not the case. It's really because I don't feel comfortable with my family being at my wedding and I can't have a good time that I want to. The thing is, because we're from two different cultural backgrounds, we've been talking about like how to like do food and do certain traditions. Like for instance, I'm Vietnamese American, so there's a traditional dress called an ao dai that I really want to wear, but it has to be custom made, and it's kind of for one day, so it's been really hard for me to be like, okay, let me spend this much money on this like traditional dress. That has been really interesting to figure out. Since I really want to do it, I probably will do it, but because of my body type, it might not look great on me because, you know, specifically those dresses are made for traditional Vietnamese women that you see in TV, really skinny, thin hips, and all this other stereotypical things, and I do not fit any of those. We're also talking about food, which is really exciting because, you know, he's Mexican American, so he's like taco burritos, and I'm like bringing in Taco Man, and I'm like, I need to find something on my end to bring to the wedding. So we were thinking about like a Vietnamese food truck, but like banh mi is not like really it's not a very good like wedding food. I'm trying to figure out what the options are for the Vietnamese side. So we're still talking about that, but it's been really interesting how Julie and I have kind of like tried to combine our relationships, like our cultures together. What has been really interesting is that when I was in the argument with my mother, she's like, oh, there's a cultural difference, there's a language barrier between you and Julie and like Julie and our family. And I'm like, no, our cultures are very similar. It's just that, you know, you're not willing to talk to him and like, you know, get to know him. Honestly, she has gotten a lot better over the years, but now that she's found that we're getting married, she's kind of like very angry about it. She's just concerned, but like out of that concern, like she's also separating herself from me because she's so angry about it. It's been really hard because she kind of makes me have to make a decision between her or Julian, and I don't want to make that decision. It's not something that I want to make, but in the end, like if I have to make it, you know, I have to make it. There's nothing I can do about it.